Hi, my name is Pia Schiavo-Campo. Welcome to Buon Appetito. Today we're making black-eyed peas. All right, so one of the first steps in terms of making black-eyed peas is we're going to start with a couple of vegetables. And everyone makes their black-eyed peas a little bit differently. As someone who actually doesn't love cooked carrots but likes the flavor, I am going to put some of these in here. So I'm just going to chop them kind of finely like this. And eventually what will happen is they'll kind of start to dissolve really inside of the black-eyed peas. But I think they give really excellent flavor. So you can leave this in or out. It just depends on you. You definitely need an onion. I don't think that there are a lot of things that I cook that don't have onions and garlic in them. These are staples in our household. So for this recipe, and mind you, I don't really measure things. My mother always said, you know, when she was teaching me to cook, I said, how much do I need to put in? Oh, you know, Pia, I never measure these things. I never measure these things. I just do it by eye. And so that's what I've kind of learned to do and to figure out what I like, what tastes for me. So I like a lot of onion. I like a lot of garlic. I really enjoy that flavor. So, all right. So I'm going to dice this. It can really be a rough chop. This does not need to be fancy. This is not a fancy dish. It can be. My version is not fancy. So I'm just giving it a rough chop like that. Give it a little bit more. And that looks like it's probably enough. So that's about half a medium onion there. Next thing is garlic. Again, I can't live without it. People peel garlic in different ways. My mother taught me to do it this way. So you lay it flat. You put your knife there and then you just give it a good slam and you see what happens is the peel slides right off. So that's 1 and 2, super easy. And I'm actually going to do a third piece of garlic, maybe just a small one because I love it that much. So we'll do this little baby guy right here. All right. And that is our vegetables chopped. Just gonna again, just a rough chop. So as you can see, this is already going to have a tremendous flavor. Okay, so now I've actually got my Dutch oven on and I've got it at about like a medium-high heat. Typically for black-eyed peas, at least the way my mom used to make them, was with ham hocks. I couldn't find any ham hocks because all the black people took the ham hocks at the grocery store. So second best is to use bacon pancetta. Some people use pork shoulder. Use whatever you like. Essentially, it's going to be giving a tremendous amount of flavor to this dish. Okay, so our bacon is all cooked. You can see that it's turned nice and crispy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it out and put it into a separate bowl. And you can see it's cooked really, really nicely. So we're going to set it aside, but there's actually quite a lot of bacon grease in here. So it's more than what we need. We want to reserve some of this flavorful fat to cook the beans in, but we don't need all of it. So what I'm going to do actually is just remove a good amount of it. You can see how much there is here. Ooh, you hear that sizzle? This is hot, okay, folks? This is hot. Okay. So I've taken a couple of tablespoons out. I'm gonna maybe take a little more. And then that looks about right. Okay, so I've got my bacon grease that's still in this pan. We took some of it out. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my onions and I'm gonna add the carrots, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, it's gonna sizzle when it goes in here. That's the sound that you want to hear. Sizzle, sizzle. Look at that. Okay, so as you can see, those gorgeous carrots and the onions are sauteing in that bacon grease right now, softening up and looking really, really delicious. So as you can see, it started to form a little bit of a crust on the bottom, and that is where all the flavor is. And I'll show you in a second what I'm going to do. But before that, what I like to do is season along the way, and that's how I work with all my cooking. So I'm actually going to add a little bit of crushed pepper in here for some heat, and a little bit of cracked pepper. I'm not going to add any salt right now because there's lots of salt in there from the bacon grease. But I'm going to just kind of cook that, and what happens is the oil starts to get really infused, right? So that it's really going to flavor the entire dish. You all, it smells so good in here. Okay, I'm going to show you how to deglaze the pan. So I love using alcohol to deglaze the pan. So here's what we're going to do. I've got a little bit of brandy right here, and I'm just going to pour it right in. You can hear that sizzle? What? Now what it's doing, you see the liquid is starting to break up all those yummy bits on the bottom. Oh yes, Lord. It smells absolutely incredible. So now we're not losing any of that flavor. We're burning off the alcohol, but we're keeping the flavor of the brandy. And let me tell you, this is going to be amazing. Let that go for just another couple of minutes. Okay, now that the vegetables have softened, we're ready to add the garlic. You never want to add the garlic too early because otherwise it will burn, okay? So my heat right now is down to about medium just to make sure that we don't burn this garlic, okay? That's super important. Make sure to adjust your heat so it's not too high. And just give that a little mix. And just start for about a minute until the garlic starts to soften and release its flavors. Okay, so now it's actually time for the black-eyed peas. So ahead of time, what I've done is I've taken about 1.5 cups of dried black-eyed peas, rinsed them, drained them, and then what I did was I put them in a bowl and covered them in hot water for about 2 hours. That just helps to soften them so that they don't have to cook quite so long once they're actually in the pan with everything else. Aren't those beautiful? Love black-eyed peas. All right, let's get these bad boys in here. So, ooh, look at that. All right, so I'm adding the black-eyed peas. I'm just giving everything a little bit of a stir, turning my heat to medium high. Okay, just want to make sure that I've covered it. Now, I think this needs a little bit more oil, so I'm going to add avocado oil. A lot of people use vegetable oil. I don't use vegetable oil a lot. I use avocado oil and I use olive oil. Those are my go-tos. Okay, so at this point, I want to do a little bit more flavoring, so I'm going to add a little bit of onion powder, which doesn't seem to be wanting to come out. That's all right. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of onion powder, okay, for extra flavor. And of course, my favorite, black pepper. You can never have too much as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so I'm going to give that a nice little stir. I'm going to let that go for a minute or so, and then we're going to add some hot chicken stock. Okay, so now I'm adding some chicken stock. Again, I don't really measure. This looks like it might be about 2.5 to 3 cups. I basically want to cover the black-eyed peas. So depending on how much you're making, you just want to basically make sure that the peas are covered. And now I'm going to turn my heat up, and I'm going to bring this to a boil. And one thing I need to add is a couple of bay leaves. So I'm just going to toss those in there. 1, 2. Okay, bay leaf always gives a really great flavor to black-eyed peas. I feel like you just have to have it in there. Okay, so we're going to wait for that to come to a boil, and then we'll be ready for our next step. Okay, so now the black-eyed peas have come to a boil. You'll see it's bubbling up here. So what I want to do is I'm going to add that bacon that I cooked earlier. Ooh, yes. And I'm going to give that a little stir. What? That looks incredible. So next step, super easy. I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to turn the heat to low, and I'm going to let this simmer for about an hour, and then I'll come and check on it and see if I need to add a little bit more liquid. And this is going to be delicious. I can't wait. All right, so the black-eyed peas have been simmering for about 90 minutes, and I have stirred them in between and tasted them just to make sure everything tasted good, and I think it does. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what they look like right now. Oh, wow. That looks pretty incredible. Look at that. Here comes our little guy. So as you can see, it's really created this kind of thick gravy. And I think the best thing to do right now is to maybe just give it a little taste. So see if it needs any kind of seasoning. So I'm just gonna have a little bit here. It smells incredible in here, okay? Oh my God. Oh my God, you guys. I wish there was smell-o-vision because, this is ridiculously good. So people serve this in a couple of different ways. A lot of times it's served with white rice, and we call that Hoppin' John. It's not my favorite way to have it. The way I like to have it is this. Take a nice big spoonful. Make sure you get that gravy like that. Oh, you can see all the bacon in there. And then I like to take a piece of cornbread, pop it right on there. Oh yeah. Watch out. I hope you'll try this recipe at home. Until then, buon appetito.